What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Now today we're going to do the regionals recap of the deck that I used and four other people used for the Dallas regionals this past weekend, and I know a lot of people have been asking questions about it. They saw it on stream, they saw Sam Chin playing it. Kevin Baxter's on there as well. He did make top 32. He got 11th place. He barely missed top 8, and we think if he made top 8, he would have won the tournament. There was no Greninja cut, which is what this deck loses to. In round 4 of day 2, he unfortunately dead drew against Volcanion, which is almost an auto win. And when that happened, well, he lost, and then his next round would have been Dark Giratina, and that's another auto win, but we're not going to worry about that. Still, 11th place with a deck that nobody really thought of besides this group of people. But let's go over it, and let's talk about the history a little bit, and then we'll talk about the deck, and we'll talk about my tournament experience. My list to their list is a little bit different, and you'll see why here in this video. So this all started about... I interviewed Sam Chin when he made top 4 with the Carping Break deck, and at the end of it, he was like, yo, Squeaky, I got this really cool Xerneas Break Regirock deck, and that was pretty much it. I didn't hear nothing else from Sam for a little while, and then my good friend Kevin Baxter messaged me, and he's like, yeah, man, I got this cool idea. It's Xerneas Break Regirock Snorlax, and I was like, well, that's interesting because Sam Chin told me the same thing, but he didn't say nothing about Snorlax. If you don't know, Snorlax is the new GX card. It was legal this weekend. It has the Pulverized Pancake, but you can only use it once per game. You can only use one GX attack per game, but it does 210, which knocks out almost anything in the game. With the Fighting Fear Belt, you can do 220, which is why we do play the one Fighting Fear Belt, so you can knock out like Darkrai's with 220 HP, and you know, just hitting those 220 numbers is fantastic. So what's Kevin told me about this? I immediately messaged Sam. I was like, Sam, give me a call right now if you're free. Well, he lands in Dallas, he sends me a message, he's like, hey, what are you talking about, what's up? And I'm like, have you tested a Xerneas Regirock deck? And he's like, no, it's bad, don't play it. And I'm like, well, Kevin's been playing it too, and then we're talking back and forth, and I then eventually make a group chat, and I connect the pieces. I'm like, alright, let's put all these people together, let's talk about this deck, and can we make it work? Well, this is all happening while I'm still in Memphis. I'm planning all this together. It is currently like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I play a couple games with it. I'm like, hey, it's really good. The original list was really different than I had. It had Max Elixirs and multiple Regirocks, no Lugia, and all that kind of stuff. Well, we started talking to group chat, and then I head to Memphis, or head to Dallas. And during that time, Carl and Sam are testing the deck. Sam eventually puts a Garbodor in there. He's like, alright, let's put Garbodor in there. Maybe they'll help out against Volcanion. And he tests it, and he's like, alright, it's not good. Like, the deck is bad. It's not working. And then Kevin finally lands in Dallas, and I'm like, sending Kevin a list. I think I sent the group a list, saying, here's my list, and it included 4 Silent Lab. And then 4 Silent Lab is how you beat Volcanion. Silent Lab just shuts down all basic Pokemon, obviously. And Volcanion probably plays like 2 or 3 stadiums. So you can easily beat Volcanion now because most of them don't play Delinquent. They only play 2 or 3 stadiums, and once you have 4 Silent Labs in play, you're going to win this game. The only bad matchup is Greninja, but they test it through the night. At one point, they have Bridget in there trying to look for 3 Pokemon. We have 2 Snorlaxes in there at one point. I think Sam Chin had this crazy idea of playing 4 EXP shares and 4 for Garbodor. We had no Lugia, then... I think you'll see this. I can't remember if Sam or Kevin said, hey, we need Lugia. That's going to help us beat Yveltal. Even though you think Yveltal is like an auto win, if they load 5 energies and a Fighting Fury Belt, they can actually one-shot your Xerneas Break 5, 6, 7. Or no, hold on, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah. It's 5 with a Fighting Fury Belt. But what you could do is you could hit him back with an Arrow Ball and put a Fighting Fury Belt on Lugia and make it where it's almost impossible for them to knock it out. And now they commit all these energies to the Yveltal, and once you knock out the Yveltal, that's pretty much all their energies and they can't recover and all that kind of good stuff. So Arrow Ball is a really, really good attack to punish those Yveltal decks, and that's why we play 2 of them. Also, Deep Hurricane is really good as well, doing 80, and Discard a Stadium do 70 more damage for 150, which is pretty nice. So during the night, they're testing, and I land in Dallas about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and Kevin sends me the list. He's like, here's the list we're playing, ready to go, and that's the list I got. Well, sometime between that morning and that night, Sam Chin and Kevin and Carl switched the list up a little bit. They took out the 3 Trainers Mail, adding in a Jirachi promo, a second Super Rod, and a third EXP share. I do wish I had the second Super Rod while playing. I unfortunately did fall asleep. I was not awake. I think they might have done it either in the morning or the nighttime. I can't remember exactly when they did it, but I unfortunately did not have the list. The other 4 guys did have the list. So, going the next morning, I have to go buy 2 Lugias and a Xerneas BREAK, and I had to talk to my friend Scott DeGraw, like, hey man, let me borrow your Snorlax-GX, I know you have this card, let me borrow it. So he does let me borrow the Snorlax-GX for the pulverized pancake, which is amazing. Shout out to Scott. I still have it, unfortunately. He'll get it back eventually, not to worry. But yeah, so we're going ready to play. It's at first I didn't know who was all playing it. It was like a big secret. I think Jeremy Jalen came up to me and told me that like a bunch of people were playing it, and I was like, oh man, I hope not a lot of people playing it. I thought it was supposed to be a secret deck. But yeah, it's just really cool how this stuff works. Like this deck went through so many different things. It had a Garbodor in it. It had no Lugia. I had multiple Regirocks. My original list had Max Elixirs, which we found out was bad. We had 4 EXP shares and like Fairy Guard instead of Silent Lab to beat the Greninjas and Volcanians, but we found out that's bad. Yeah, and the list went through so many different things, but it's cool to see how a deck evolves just over, like, I think it was between 5 and 3 a.m. And this is the final list we came up with. I know, like I said, my list is a little bit different. I unfortunately did not get the call about the -3 Trainers Mail, plus Jirachi promo, Super Rod, and the EXP share, but I think the list is still fine. But let's go over day 1. So, day 1, I only know my record, obviously. I don't know what everybody else did. But let me pull my matches up real quick, and we can talk about it and see, is the deck really good? So, round 1, we're playing against Isaac. He is playing the Darkrai Giratina deck, and Darkrai Giratina is a good matchup for you, because obviously Xerneas is resistant to Dark. And the whole point of this deck, I know I didn't explain this, is the Geomancy, get a bunch of energies out in the field, and then start using Life Stream. And what you could do is put your DCs on Regirock, because Regirock has the barrier trait, which makes it where it can't be Lysandre, Enhanced Hammer, Crush Hammer, or anything like that. It kind of sits on your bench forever, while you just attach DCs to it and stuff like that. Geomancy to it, whatever you want to. And then you start Life Streaming for a ton of damage, and you take knockouts. You only need 2 energies, so he's can't be really punished by Evital. He has, you know, Dark Resistance. So round 1 play against Darkrai Giratina. And it's really funny. I think game 1, it's pretty crazy. So we start setting up, we're doing good, we're doing everything we need. We get a Xerneas out, we start Geomancy, we get the Regirock out, everything like that. We get 5 energies on a Regirock, and then I do the whole Ninja Boy into a Regirock to knock out like a Darkrai with 180 HP, or Ninja Boy the Regirock into Snorlax to knock out a Darkrai. And as soon as I do this, like everybody literally turns their head. I'm like, pulverize the pancake, and like everybody like literally turned their head. And I was like, did Squeaky just say pulverize pancake? And then look, and then I remember Mike Canavis was right there, and he's like, yeah guys, he just Ninja Boy the Regirock and a Snorlax-GX and pulverize pancake for 210. It was like the coolest feeling ever. Like Ninja Boy and a Regirock with 5 energies to a Snorlax to do 210 out of nowhere is fantastic. And that's what would happen a bunch of times. Game 2, I did not set up really well, but this deck is so fast. You just like start live streaming by like turn 3 or 4. And once you have the 2 EXP shares out, you kind of just have the energies on the field forever. So game 2 I did dead draw, and game 3 I won. I think I used Snorlax again. I think I go for like pulverized pancake and the Thunder Snore, if I remember correctly. Maybe no, that wasn't this game. I think I just pulverized pancake for the last 2 prize cards, something like that. So yeah, that's game number 1, or round number 1. Round number 2, we're playing against Graft and Roll, and I'm like, oh, this is great. This is not a loss, because once Greninja gets set up, it's pretty hard to take it down, because it can keep using giant water shurikens and destroy you, and then all that. You know, it's bad. But remember, I went to bed about 3:30 to 4 o'clock. Had to wake up at 6:30 to go find 2 Lugias and a Xerneas BREAK. So we're like on 2.5 hours of sleep after working 12 hours at my job, and riding for 7 hours in car. I think it was like 8.5 because there was a wreck. But excuses aside, that's not good. That's not what you're gonna say. But the key thing about this is no sleep. So game 1, I'm doing great. We're taking knockouts really, really fast. We're getting everything going, and then he finally gets set up. And the first thing he does is he double water shurikens of Regirock for 120 to knock it out. And there goes like 4 or 5 energies. I'm like, oh man. I remember that I had to play a supporter card. I think it was like Sycamore with the Fighting Fury Belt. Trainers Mail didn't hit the Fighting Fury Belt. And he double water shurikens, knock out Regirock, and my next card is a Fighting Fury Belt. If we had hit that Fighting Fury Belt, the Regirock would have survived one more turn, and the game would have been totally different. But in the last turn of the game, I could have Lysandre up a Heart Grenade on the bench, and I think I live streamed for 80 because there wasn't that many energies in play. I think I live streamed for 80. And I forgot that, I don't know if it's me being tired or, I think what actually happened is I did the math wrong. Like, I know what happened. I did the math wrong, and I thought I took a knockout of the live stream, but it had 160 HP and not 170. Or I did 160 total and not 170. And that was a problem. Grafton pointed out, he was like, hey, you could have Rainbow Spirit to knock it out. And I was like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, there's just math on my part. I think I attached a DC to a bench Pokemon when I could attach it to active Xerneas Lysandre and take a knockout that way. So we lose game 1, and in game 2, he goes crazy, gets set up super fast, and we fortunately lose this. So after this game, I think the match lasts maybe like 20 minutes. I head upstairs, take a nap for like 15 to 20 minutes, change clothes because it was really hot, so I switched my tank top. Put all my stuff up, so now I'm just carrying my deck box and my tank top, or just wearing a tank top and just my deck box. I put everything else away. We're gonna relax, we're gonna take a chill, and round number 3, we get ready to go to another Dark Art Giratina. I'm like, yes, that's good. We're playing Dark Art Giratina. It's another auto win. But, game 1, I dead draw, and I lose that one fairly quick. And then game 2, same thing happened. I get O2'd really quick. Like, it's like really fast. I get O2, and I tell everybody, and like, how'd you lose a Dartina? And I'm like, well, when you draw past, it's really bad. So 1-2 right now. Unfortunately, I think my third round opponent was Adam Cisneros. So 1-2, not feeling very happy because now we have to basically win out to get top 32, right? Because 7-2 is in, 6-3 is not in. So next up we're playing against Alexander Acosta. I think that's how you say his name. And he is playing, I'm pretty sure it was Mega Gardevoir. Yeah, it was Mega Gardevoir. And this matchup is fairly easy because you do have the 4 Silent Labs. So for Gardevoir to knock you out, they have to discard 4 Pokemon because Xerneas BREAK does have 150 HP. And also, Snorlax has 210 HP. I mean, it can do 210, which knocks out a Gardevoir as well. So this game goes pretty well. You just get a bunch of Xerneas out, you start doing a ton of damage, you keep the energies on the field. They have to discard 4 Pokemon, but you have 4 Silent Labs, so they can't use Dragonite and Hoopa and all that stuff, so you do slow them down like really fast. You just wait till they drop a Skyfield, then you drop your Silent Lab. You just let them do their thing first, then you Silent Lab them, and then you're good to go. It's pretty much an auto win. I think me and Sam discussed that the match was very, very in your favor, just because they can't constantly knock you out because they have to keep discarding a bunch of Pokemon, which is very hard to do to keep streaming. And this Snorlax-GX can take like the last 2 prize cards because it does do 210 HP. So this matchup is fairly quick. I think I go 2-0 if I remember correctly. If that was I'm pretty sure it was a Gardevoir. Next up is Scott DeGraw, a good friend of mine. He actually let us borrow this Snorlax-GX, which unfortunately, oh man. So game 1, okay, so Evital. This is Evital, which, you know, I'm going to. I'm like, alright, this is an easy matchup, whatever. Game 1, we do our thing. I don't think Scott knows that, like, the play is definitely to, like, load up a giant Evital and just take a knockout that way. But that never happens. Game 2, we do struggle a little bit. Don't go so well. And then game 3, we did our thing. I think Scott did draw in game 1 or 3. I can't remember exactly what happened. And I think I did draw in game 2. And that's the weird thing about Pokemon right now. It's like whoever dead draws kind of just loses. But it's a quick 2-1. Like, I don't think time is even close. It's just so fast. Like, we're just live streaming real fast, just taking knockouts. And if we lift, they're just taking knockouts on us. Lugia is really good. You can just air ball their Evitals, like I said. Snorlax can also just take a knockout as well. Evital, the Fighting Fury Belt's 210 HP, which is Pulverized Pancake does 210. So it's really, really good. So we 2-1 Scott. In the next round, we played against a Josh player. And I'm like, alright, cool. And this is like probably one of the most interesting matchups of the day, besides round 8. So this round, we are playing against Josh, and he is playing Mega Audino. Now, like, Mega Audino, I really don't know this at first, because game 1, he starts Mewtwo, like the base set Mewtwo, the one from Generations, or Evolutions, whatever it is, and we just win that one fairly quickly. Game 2 is where everything changes. Game 2, he starts Audino. I'm like, ooh, Audino. This is interesting. Now, the bad thing about Audino, it does 110 and then 50 to a bench. It only needs 3 energies stack, so it's a very, very hard deck to take out. I know Game 2, he just gets really fast. He's like doing 110, 50 to a bench. Lysandre 110, 50. He's just going crazy. And we end up losing that one. It is very hard to deal with it. Mega Audino also has 220 HP, so Snorlax-GX can't take a knockout on it without a fighting Fury Belt. So you have to be really smart. And he can snipe your Regirocks while they're on the bench, which is very unfortunate. But game 2, we do lose. And game 3, this is where things get very interesting. So during game 1 and game 2, I do not remember seeing a Shaymin at all, but I do remember he playing Hoopa. So game 1, turn 1, I just like throw a Silent Lab out, whatever. Like, you're not gonna use your Hoopa, you're not gonna use Shaymins. I don't remember seeing a Stadium card in game 1 or game 2. So I'm like, all right, we're just gonna put a Silent Lab down. He can't use Hoopa. It's gonna be hard for him to set up. Blah blah blah. But it comes down to my Lugia has like 150 damage on it, because I unfortunately did start with it, and I never got the Ninja Boy it out. And he ends me. I have 2 prize cards left. He ends me. And unfortunately, I draw 2 Pokemon and an Ultra Ball. And my Silent Lab's still out there. And my opponent actually does not play Shaymin-EX at all. If I knew this, I would have never dropped down Silent Lab. I would have kept the Silent Lab down. I just never would have put it down. But yeah, he ends up not playing Shaymins. He actually plays Octillery, and he didn't drop a run rate to game number 3. So I don't know he's not playing Shaymin until game 3. And now I drop a Silent Lab, and then when he ends me to 3, I hit Ultra Ball on 2 Pokemon, and there's a Shaymin in my deck, and I'm like, oh my goodness, if I had never dropped that Silent Lab, I could Shaymin set up, draw 6 cards. All I needed was 1 energy from my Xerneas, because Xerneas had 1 energy on it, and if I hit that 1 fair energy, when there's a ton left in the deck, we could have won this game. But unfortunately, we whiff. He has the Lysandre on a Shaymin to bring it up. I think on a Shaymin or something. To bring it off the bench, take a 4 prize knockout to win the game. I think it was Shaymin, if I remember correctly, or another EX, maybe another Lugia or somebody. I think it was Shaymin. Yeah, because I think turn 1, we like Ultra Ball for Shaymin, set up some more, drop a Silent Lab, punish our opponent saying, hey, you're not going to play your Silent Lab, but then he kept stacking 50 damage to my Snorlax, my Lugias, and just kept hitting over and over again. We never hit the Ninja Boy, throw it back in the deck, and we unfortunately lose this round, and now we're like, what, 3-3? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah, we're 3-3. So we didn't lose to Mega Audino. Like I said, it's a very hard matchup, because they can do 110 and 50 to a bench Xerneas break, and then Lysandre knock both out and just take off all your attackers really easily. I think we were swinging for like 240 to knock out Mega Audinos, but like I said, the end of 2, having this Silent Lab out and play killed me. But unfortunately that happens. So game, what is it? Next up is round number 7, playing against Noah Dela Cruz. And he is playing Yveltal. And I just remember during game 1, he's like, I just don't want to be pancaked. I just don't want to be pancaked. So game 1, we never pancake. We do easily win this one. I think he's swinging like Yveltal break, or the Fright Night Yveltal. So it only does like 40 and then 60 to a bench EX if there is one in the field. And that game goes fairly quickly. Game 2 is like money. So we take 2 prize cards as Xerneas break, and then we go into the Snorlax early. We pulverize Pancake for 210 on the Yveltal EX. And then we flip Tails because Snorlax automatically goes to sleep. So we flip Tails, and then go back to my turn. Flip Tails again. We Lysandre Yveltal and Thunderous Snore for 180. So we get 210 and then 180 by back-to-back Tails. And that's what makes Snorlax so good. Like, if you can stay asleep after Pulverize the Pancake, you can just knock out another EX. And that's what we did. We knocked out an EX with the Xerneas break, and then did Pulverize Pancake, and then Thunder Snore to win the game, which was fantastic. It was like one of the coolest ways ever to win. But yep, that was round number 7. And then round number 8, we get paired against one of the guys who was playing Snorlax, which is Azul. Azul is playing. His list, like I said, is a little bit different. He doesn't play the 3 Trainers Mail. plays 1 Super Rod and 1 more EXP share, which is great for me because I can drop a Silent Lab and he can't counter it. He can't play like Delinquent at another stadium, and I don't know, he probably relies a little bit more on Shaymin because he does play the Trainers Mail, and I can use Trainers Mail while he can't. So my decks probably can handle the Silent Lab a little more than his can. So game 1, we both have a weird start if I remember correctly. He starts like Snorlax-GX, and I start like Lugia or something, and he pulverized Pancakes eventually, but then like Lugia takes a knockout. I think I Deep Hurricane or Arrow Ball or something, and then I like Ninja Boy to Snorlax, take a last 2 prize cards, something like that. It was a very weird game. Game 2, I don't know what happened. The key to this matchup, though, I'll tell you right now, is to go Lugia-EX. You want to turn 1 Ultra Ball for Lugia, attach a DC to it, and then next turn start Deep Hurricane. Like, that's the plan. You want to Deep Hurricane those Xerneas breaks, because Xerneas break does have 150 HP. I remember when I knocked out one, Azul was like, it does 150, and I was like, yeah, man, it's perfect numbers. He's like, I didn't even know that. So Deep Hurricane can just one-shot those Xerneas breaks and help you out in the mirror. So like I said, I think going Lugia-EX in the mirror is the better thing to do. I think Azul did agree to that as well after playing. I think game 3, we got like a Lugia out, turn 1, touch a DC, next turn put a DC out and start Deep Hurricane. And since we do play the 4 Silent Labs, it's very easy to constantly keep Deep Hurricane. And yeah, we do win the mirror match. I remember somebody said the best part about regionals was seeing you and Azul play the mirror match. Man, that should have been streamed. Like, that was a crazy game. Like, just having Snorlax and Lugia just fighting it out. That's essentially what happened. Like, it was Lugia versus Snorlax kind of thing. But it was a really, really fun mirror match. First time playing Azul. It was a lot of fun. And I'm glad at least we got to play the mirror match somewhat. And then that was round number 8. And then round number 9, we get a player against Riley, and he is playing Raikou, Electrode, Jolteon. This is pretty much an auto win. Jolteon doesn't matter because you're not a basic, you're a break. So you can knock those out pretty easily. Raikou can only do 110. With 3 lightnings, it needs 5 lightnings on it to take a knockout. While we barely need any, we have Silent Lab to shut down its ability. It's a really, really bad matchup. I ended up winning this one fairly quickly. And yeah, 6-3, and we get 71st. Unfortunately, we didn't even get top 64 to get the $250, but still 6-3 with a deck that nobody's really seen before. Xerneas BREAK, Regirock, Snorlax. Like I said, one of my losses was because I forgot to Rainbow Spear instead of using a live stream. Game 2, Grafton did beat me, but we don't know what happens game 3. My next round of loss was because I dead drew, which does happen. It's very unfortunate. And then the next time we lost was against Megadino, and that's because I didn't know he didn't play Shaymin. Like I said, if I didn't know he didn't play Shaymin, I would have dropped the Silent Lab. But anybody else, I think, like I said, Kevin was the only person who made cuts. Sam Chen at one point was 5-0, then unfortunately went to a bunch of Greninjas to end up 6-3, but he did get top 64, getting 250 with Snorlax. I think JP was fairly close, but I think at the end he lost like the last 2 rounds, or lost the last round to barely miss top 64. Same thing with Carl. Like, everybody did pretty good. I think Azul did have the worst record. I think he ended up, let's see, on here it says 4-4. So I don't know if he went 5-4 or 4-5. I'm not sure. I didn't get the last standings on everybody. I know Carl was sitting right beside me, and unfortunately he dead drew against Volcanion. Like I said, Volcanion is really easy because you do have these Silent Labs to shut down abilities. And yeah, that's the this Xerneas BREAK Snorlax Lugia deck. Some of the matchups, I'll tell them right now. Evital, easy. Evital is very easy, especially if they don't know how to play against it. But even if they do, you have the 2 Lugias, which is really nice. Mega Mewtwo, that's a matchup I didn't play, but I know Sam did beat some and lose to some. I know Kevin beat some. That's another really interesting matchup. It comes down to what version of the deck they're using. If they're using the Fairy Drop version, you don't care. Like, whatever, I don't care about your Fairy Drops. But if they're using the damage change version, that's what gets interesting. Because if you hit them, they can then damage change you back. And I know a lot of the Mewtwo decks weren't playing damage change, they're playing the Fairy Drop list, which I still don't understand. But I think you can beat the Fairy Drop. The Psycho one's a little bit more harder. Greninja and auto loss, but the new Giratina does come out. Giratina has the ability to shut down all breaks abilities. So you can shut down the giant water shuriken, but then the Greninjas are going to start playing Silent Lab and stuff like that. I still think that's a bad matchup either way, unless they don't adapt to Silent Labs, and then you can maybe put a Giratina here and get a win against Greninja. Rainbow Road, easy. It's really hard for them to set up while we're constantly just live stream knocking them out. If they both need a lot of setup, but we're going to win that one. Mega Guardy, easy, like I said. Mega Quasza is another easy. I don't know. Mega Quasza is like interesting. I don't know how that plays out. I know Kevin did beat one, so it is winnable. I just don't know how it plays out. Volcanion, like I said, Silent Lab. But it takes, like, this deck it can beat a lot of stuff. It can also beat a lot of the Evital hate, which was everywhere. I know Carl played a bunch against, like, a bunch of Zebstrika. Like, Zebstrika does nothing to Xerneas Break, and you're just constantly, like, one-shotting them and over again. So that's a fairly easy matchup. Riku, like I said, is easy. Jolteon is easy. Vileplume, I don't know how that works out. You do have the break to get around Jolteon and Glaceon, stuff like that. You actually sing with Snorlax. If you want to, Snorlax can knock out Regice because it only hurts. He only worries about like EX Pokemon. But you have answers to all their stuff, like with Snorlax and Xerneas Break and Lugia and stuff like that. So that's an interesting matchup. Mega Scizor is probably really bad just because they one-shot you. Unless you're really fast and you can just get a bunch of energies on board. But Xerneas Scizor also has 220 HP, so Snorlax can't one-shot it. It one-shots you fairly easily, but maybe get enough energies in the field and start one-shotting them. Maybe that's how I would think it goes. It's a weird matchup, but I think it is in Scizor's favor just a little bit. And I think that's pretty much everybody in the game right now. Dartina, easy as long as you draw good. Obviously, that's with any deck. But there you go. There's this Xerneas Break Regirock Snorlax deck. But later on today, we will show a video of me playing it and showing how it works. But it's a really, really good deck. I think it is still playable in the future in Athens. If you want to play in Athens, it's a really good deck to play. I know a lot of people are joking saying it's a bad deck, but I think it is a really strong play for sure. And like, since Mega Gardevoir won, I don't know how the meta is going to shift. Is there going to be more Steel? I don't know. Is there going to be more Volcanion to counter the Steel that are playing Guardy? I don't know. If Guardy's everywhere, that's fine. You don't care about Guardy. You beat that pretty easily. And it all becomes, how does the meta shift since Gardevoir was like the most dominant deck for some odd reason in the top 8? But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Will this deck still be good? Will people transition over from Evital to Mega Guardy? If that happens, then I would still play this deck 100%. Greninja, I don't know how it works. I mean, Greninja's going to be a little bit better. Because since they have to worry about the Giratina, that they had to play Silent Lab, which does help out their Greninja match. I mean, their Guardy matchup. So that's going to become really interesting for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But overall, this list's pretty good. The only thing I would change is play a second Super Rod. I don't know what I've cut on top of my head. Ace Trainer is really good. Like, I know you see Ace Trainer, like, why do you play this? Well, they're going to knock out your Xerneas really quickly. Because usually what happens is you, like, start using Geomancy, and you just power up bench Xerneas and Regirock and stuff like that. They'll take a knock on your Xerneas. Then you Ace Trainer down to 3 while you get 6 cards, and you pretty much just sweep from there. Like, every card's really, really good. You could cut a Trainers Mail for a second Super Rod. I guess if I'm playing against Audino again, I would like to have that Jirachi so we can discard his DCs and then he can hurt my Jirachi, which is fairly interesting. But yeah, there we go. There's the Xerneas Break Regirock Lugia Snorlax deck. A very weird deck for sure. But I want to give shout outs to, once again, Sam Chin, Kevin Baxter, and Carl for coming together, making this list. Without them, this would not have been possible. I was unfortunately driving down there, so I couldn't participate. All I could do was send my suggestions in via message while they were testing. Shout out to Zola and Jonathan JP for playing the deck as well. It was very cool to see this deck actually do so much successful, making 11th place. It actually plays higher than Evital. There was no Evital above 11th place, so we can say Xerneas Break did outbeat Evital EX this past weekend. But guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something new about the Xerneas Break Snorlax deck. Have a great day. Alrighty, bye. Alright guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to our 3 sponsors, 60 Cards, Yeti Gaming, and the Pokemon Company International. Links to everything will be down below in the description. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Alrighty.